Good Night Oppy is a documentary about the Mars exploration rovers that were expected to live about 90 days and well exceeded that mission. The film is now streaming on Prime Video. Director Ryan White here to chat all about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about getting involved in the project and getting that access to this incredible footage from NASA.
So this project began in March of 2020, and I had a dinner with Amblin Entertainment, which is Steven Spielberg's company. He wasn't at the dinner, but some of his team was, and they pitched me this idea, and they had gotten access to almost 1,000 hours of archival of Opportunity's life. And it was a mission I had followed just as a fan because I'm a massive space geek and desperately wanted to be an astronaut growing up in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was a childhood dream that never panned out for me. And I always wanted to make a space film. And so when they brought this idea up and said, we have access to the entire archive, do you want to direct a film about it? I said, sign me up right away. It was sort of my childhood dream project.
There's a lot of aspects of a traditional sci-fi movie. I mean, one gets hit by lightning, another one gets stuck in the sand. I mean, but there's also the heart of teamwork and just what we can create beyond our wildest dreams, especially with this whole team working together. Talk a little bit about bringing those two aspects to the film.
Yeah, there's an earthbound part of the story, and there's a Martian bound part of the story, and we wanted the audience to be there for both of them. And so the adventures on Mars are pretty exciting. It's like you said, lightning and quicksand and tornadoes and dust storms. And so it's all the things that you would think weren't real if they were written into a screenplay, but I didn't make this story up myself. And so Industrial Light and Magic, the best in the business at visual effects, the folks that created Star Wars, they created a photoreal Mars from the ground up that's based on all of the photography of these rovers. So we hope that the audience feels like that they are there, almost as if I could have taken my film crew there and filmed Opportunity and Spirit as they went through these things. It looks authentic to what they actually were going through. But on the flip side, this is a story about human beings as well. And we wanted, that's where the real heart of this film comes from. These robots are just a box of wires if human beings aren't infusing them with their own emotions and their own aspirations and their own sense of discovery. And that was taking place back on Earth. And we're lucky that NASA did an incredible job of having camera crews there while they were operating this mission. And so the best scenes in my film come from having both of those worlds come together. When you would, find an incredible story of, say, Opportunity getting stuck in quicksand on Mars, and ILM could bring that to life in a photoreal way. But then you would find the folks on Earth that were going through that crisis and having to do tests in the Mars yard and thinking that their rover might not survive this mission and feeling, the real agony and grief that came with that. Once you had a scene that had both of those worlds, that's where the magic really came from in our film.
Obviously, the team were expecting to make a couple discoveries within that 90 days, but talk a little bit about, what we ended up discovering and what we ended up finding, throughout the 15 years that, that Oppy was around.
Well, the incredible thing about Oppy is they call it the 300 million mile hole in one because she somewhat accidentally landed in this tiny little crater that proved part of her mission from the beginning. So their scientific mission of Opportunity and Spirit was to discover if water had ever existed on Mars. And the moment she opened her eyes, she was in a place where water had existed. But again, not being able to write this into a screen more perfectly, she found the existence of basically battery acid type of water. So it wasn't the proof that it could have been the foundation for life, because life it wasn't drinkable water. And it wasn't until the end of her mission that she found drinkable water in what's called Perseverance Valley in Endeavour crater, which was a much deeper crater that showed us much older parts of Mars. And Spirit was on the other side of Mars, and she had the same scientific conclusions. She found the presence of former hot springs on Mars and what's called silica. It's some of the sand there. And so the two current rovers, Curiosity and Perseverance, are are they're the next leg of that relay race, and they're looking for the building blocks of life, of organic life, to show that Mars could have maybe once been a climate that sustained life, and maybe one day we'll discover the answers, especially if we can send human beings to Mars in our near future, in discovering what happened to our sister planet. It had a warmer, wetter, more sustainable climate at some point, and that climate died for some reason, and we still don't know the when and the why to answer that question.
And to get a couple more answers, we got to go ahead and watch the film Good Night Oppy, now streaming on Prime Video. Ryan, thank you so much for your time today, and I'm so happy that you grew up with a movie like E.T. and were able to work with Amblin. I'm assuming it's probably a full circle moment for you.
It feels crazy. I've been like pinching myself the last 2 years. It's been an absolute joy to work on this film.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you.